the Thunder get it done. They win not from pillar to post, but just about there. They beat the Indiana Pacers 123-107, the final. And so now we are squared up. It is a best-of-5 series as the Pacers went to Indiana to get the win, so they get home court advantage as long as they don't stub their toe at home. As long as they don't stub their toe at home, they'll be all right. So Jalen Williams had 19, Aaron Wiggins 18, and Chet Holmgren with 15 for the Thunder and a partridge in a pear tree as OKC wins. It was the first time they've won a finals game since many, many years ago, back in 2012. That was back when guys like Kevin Durant and others were playing for the Thunder. That was against Miami. Game 3 is not until Wednesday. Why? Because load management, baby. You can't expect these NBA players to have one day off. Oh, my God, no. What kind of draconian a-hole are you? What is wrong with you? The NBA is doing everything they can so no one watches the finals. Let's just take a couple days off between games. All right, so they're taking 2 games off Wednesday in Indianapolis. Now, you can check that out. Be the first finals game since I was there 25 years ago when they played the Lakers in the NBA Finals. The better story, though, is in the losing locker room, and so let us discuss. We know on this show, we love losers. And let's start out there with Indiana because they're the big losers. They wear the scarlet letter, the giant L there on their chest. So what went wrong? What went wrong for Tyrese Haliburton and the Pacers in game number 2? All right, so I've got – well, that was the wrong one. All right, so I've got YMCA, Hammer, and Dog Whistle. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make some delicious, delicious apple fritters. The perfect donut is the apple fritter. There's nothing that can quite match the apple fritter. Now, cinnamon roll is also a fine donut, but the apple fritter at the very top. So, when you play the Let's Point the Fingers game, and I love playing the Let's Point the Fingers game, what went wrong for the Pacers? You point a finger over here, you point a finger over there, and you point a finger everywhere is what you do. Why not, right? Now, this was an epic failure by the Indiana basketball team for stretches of this game. Now, mainly in the second quarter, but really the first quarter as well. The first half, they were stuck in sand. The first half of this game, Indiana looked like they had forgotten how to play basketball. That's what happens. You spend a couple extra days in Oklahoma. You just don't know what you're doing. My God. First up, let's start with the headliner, Tyrese Haliburton. Are you bleeping kidding me? All right? Are you? This guy's the engine, right? Choo-choo. He's the engine there. And ice water point guard, Captain Clutch. Nobody, forget Jalen Brunson, man. Right now, 4 big game-winning shots in the playoffs here for Haliburton. He's the guy. And he's got to be the guy. You can't be the guy if you're not the guy, and he wasn't the guy against SGA if Indy's going to keep this series going, humming along. Hum, 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 hum. No, there was no humming. It was chop, 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 chop. He was out there. And the way he played in the first half of this game, side-by-side comparison, all right, this is real talk. I know he didn't call a show anymore. This is real talk. So the way Haliburton played in the first half, especially the second quarter, he would not have been picked at a YMCA pickup game the way he was performing. Man, where was the aggression? Did he take some sleeping pills prior to the game, Haliburton? Hello? And the elite playmaking, we've seen it. But it wasn't there, not in the first half. And, listen, the Thunder have a good defensive team, but let's not get carried away here. This is more about what Haliburton didn't do than any amazing adjustment that the Oklahoma City basketball team did do. And Haliburton is supposed to be a 1%er, that he's crossed the Rubicon. And he's a 1% talent, and you're going to get it done against everybody, anywhere, anyhow, anyway. And that was not happening in this game in the first half. And the Maller report card on this, Tyrese Haliburton picking up an I rating, not an A, not a B, not a C, not a D, not an I rating. That's for the ick factor. Because there was a lot of ick, right? He's the spirit animal of the Pacers. He is the spirit animal of the Pacers, and the animal was taking a nap when the game was being decided. And in this game, the game was being decided in the first half here. It was a real clunker. I don't know how many other ways I can say it. Got to figure out how to break through game after game, right? No days off, all that stuff, and break the pressure of Oklahoma City and not wilt under the pressure, which is what appeared to be happening here. The Pacers' offense was stagnant in the first half. That's not something we are used to seeing. This is one of the top offensive teams, if not the top offensive team in the NBA, and it starts with Haliburton. It starts with him, and Oklahoma City boxed him up. The Thunder built up an 18-point lead at halftime, and they didn't trail in the entire second half. Indiana shot less than 35% in the first half of this game and had just 41 points at halftime, which is not very good. They played better in the second half, but it was all extended garbage time. Haliburton, when the game was decided in the first half, he was 1 of 5 shooting. He made one more basket than you and I made in the first half and 3 assists in 24 minutes of action. And the Pacers, listen, they played well in the second half, but it was a lot of stat stuffing and stat bandito and whatnot. And we often point out how that is something we don't give credit to. Garbage time stat stuffing doesn't really do it for us. And then you got Rick Carlisle, who was holding the game console. He had the joystick, and he was moving around the Vomit Comet. The Indiana coach there, he had the joystick. He was moving around the Vomit Comet. The Pacers played like they were content to win game one, which they did win. They won a game. Whee! You won a game. Congratulations. You got it done on the road. Way to go. All right. Carlisle, championship coach, all that stuff. You kiss his ass because he's got the championship pedigree. He's supposed to be one of the top coaches in the NBA. And he is often, but this was not his night here. It looked like he drew up the game plan on a napkin at some dive bar they went to in the greater Indianapolis area in between games on the day off there, as the Thunder, they were playing with the kind of edge that you would expect a team to play with in this situation, and the Pacers did not match it. They were not able to match the running around like a headless chicken activity. So you got Rick Carlisle, not too many adjustments here, not a great night for the Pacers, and so they lose, in a game that wasn't all that close. Here is Carlisle pointing out the first half was not a masterpiece.
Another bad first half, obviously, was a big problem, and we just played poorly. A little better in the second half, but you can't be a team that's reactive and expect to be successful or have consistency. So we're going to have to be a lot better on Wednesday.
Can we get him a throat lozenge? It sounds like he's got a little throat issue there. Maybe some water with salt, garlic. I recommend garlic. That's my go-to. It normally works for me. Now, one of our favorites, and for us, the greatest name in the history of the NBA, our friend Marcel in Brooklyn, Pascal Siakam. Siakam had a quiet game. He was 3 of 11 shooting. He didn't really do much of anything when the game was in the bounce, or even when it wasn't in the bounce. And, hey, Pascal, what the hell happened?
It was pretty close in the beginning. I mean, I think just a lot of unanswered buckets, maybe some key turnovers that we can take away. But, yeah, they did a good job being disruptive, and they got out in transition. And, they made some tough shots. I mean, they got guys that contributed, across the board. They got off the bench. Guys made some big shots. They got rebounds, they just did a little bit of the little things that, more than we did.
I would say more than just the little things, but we'll move on. Now, on the other side, page 2, Oklahoma City. So this is what was expected. This was the analysis when everyone was licking the toes of OKC. This is the way they're going to play every single game. So have Oklahoma City and SGA now regained complete and total control of the NBA Finals after this body blow of a win? Have they regained control? So that would be a premature take, right? That would be a premature take. All the Thunder did was avoid getting blown into the tornado, right? Getting blown into the tornado. If they had lost again at home, that would have been DEFCON 1 if they lose at home back-to-back. That's what the Knickerbockers did against the Pacers. They'd have been on life support if that had happened there. And so that did not happen, so you don't have to worry about that. But Oklahoma City, they played at a different speed, which is a lot to do with the Pacers more than it is against Oklahoma City. You expected them to play like that. You did not expect Indiana to come out there and lollygag, which is what they did here. And the Thunder they got more rebounds. They had more steals, more fast break points than the Pacers. The 50-50 balls. Oh, I love my 50-50 balls. I live for 50-50 balls. Remember Phil Jackson back in the days. Hands-on balls. That was his big mantra. Loved hands-on balls. So anyway, loose balls, grabbing them. It seemed like it was like 80, 90, 95% Oklahoma City on those particular situations. And Oklahoma City players regularly diving on the floor to secure loose balls, to extend possessions. Didn't see too much of that. Certainly not as much as we're used to from the Indiana basketball team in this game. And then you have Chet Holmgren, who brought the golden hammer. The golden hammer he brought down there with the timely offense in the first half, the early damage from Skeletor. Imagine that. You're Indiana, you lost to Skeletor. He was big. He was big. He was. Call it like it. He was big in the first half. He had 15 points and 6 rebounds, but 11 points and 4 rebounds in the first half, and that second quarter run when Oklahoma City took control of the game and never gave up the momentum you idiots like to talk about. All right, so timing does matter. Timing does matter. All right, now, last word. So we mentioned earlier game 1 was a total dud, right? Total dud. The lowest ratings in the modern era, going back to the 80s, going back to Ronald Reagan as president. Oh, my God, it sucked. And it just, a few things in life, this is something we expected to happen. It happened. So I noticed, and I don't know if you noticed here, as you know, I generally try to avoid Doris Burke because, like most people, I like good broadcasting. She's not good. But for a few minutes, in a moment of weakness, I had the broadcast up. I made a mistake. But during that couple of minutes I had the audio up, I heard Mike Breen, the play-by-play announcer, who emphasized that the Thunder Pacers series was great for people who love pure basketball. That was the line, right? Pure basketball. Okay, so what is your rebuttal to that particular line from the lead voice of the NBA Finals? So that is a roll your eyes response is what that is. You roll your eyes when you hear somebody say pure basketball because it's nonsense, right? It's poppycock is what it is here. Give me a bleeping break, pure basketball. My fat ass, pure basketball. You know what else is pure? I'm not a big drinker of this, but skim milk is pure. You want to drink skim milk? Knock yourself out. No thanks. And by the way, last I checked, this is not the 1980s here where the basketball hardos are sitting there with their pants down watching the backdoor cuts, getting all excited. That's not the way this works. It didn't work then either, by the way. It didn't work then either. That's what's called narrowcasting, not broadcasting, and there are not enough. It is a proven fact. There are not enough basketball hardos to provide a big enough audience for the NBA Finals. We proved that in Game 1. That'll continue to be the place. You need to attract the casual. You need to attract the run-of-the-mill Joe Blow fan. That's who you need to attract. They don't care about the purity of the game. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. And pure basketball is also a dog whistle is what it is. Let me call it like it is, right? When you say pure basketball, it's code for there's no stars, right? The teams aren't popular. And let me just gaslight you, the viewer, and shame you into thinking, well, if you watch, you're a pure basketball fan. You're like a better fan. It's some kind of basketball utopia. Bull crap. It's not. I mean, God, this is the perfect trifecta. It's the perfect trifecta. Now, what is it? You got no stars, you've got no compelling storylines, and no ratings. Ding, 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 ding. That's what you got, right? Do you think the average fan cares about a dribble handoff and gets all aroused because they see off-the-ball movement? Come on. Like, what are you doing? Right? No, they want the personality. They want that. They want the good guys, the villains. There's none of that. There's none of that. And it's like a traveling all-star team, the Thunder. I don't mean that in a kind of way. I mean like an AAU team, the way they react after games and whatnot here. And nobody is going to circle the Thunder and the Pacers and say, man, I got to watch it. Now, maybe you're in Oklahoma or Indiana, but maybe not. You know, even then you're like, I got some stuff I've saved up on the streaming. I might need to watch that, you know. So, but I'll watch it for you. Again, this is my public service. I'm watching it for you. Well, I'm a basketball hardo, man. I love it. Okay, don't call. I don't need to hear that. You're on an island. But I'm a purist of basketball. Yeah, I'm sure you are.